Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to Gashi's Kaiman TV. It is now all systems go. The country is headed to what look like a mini general election. And this is very, very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. You know, these by-elections have actually helped us to make a number of conclusions. And we are very, very keen to observe William Samoei Ruto, ODM, and the united opposition, because this is actually a prelude of what is going to happen in 2027 general election. I want to start by looking at ODM. Two people were missing in action. Babu Owino and Edwin Sifuna were no show. They did not bother to campaign for ODM candidates. They did not bother to say anything good. They did not bother to market ODM party or ODM candidate. What does this tell you, ladies and gentlemen? It tells you that Babu Owino and Edwin Sifuna could be on their way out of ODM. That Babu Owino and Edwin Sifuna could be there just for the sake of buying time. But they are not likely to support ODM. And this one, if you ask me, is because ODM is supporting William Samoei Ruto. The other thing about ODM that came out very, very clearly is that ODM is now very, very weak. Because when you look at it, you know, it's not like in the past where you not see people actually challenging or independent candidates. And if they would be there, those candidates could have only be aligned to the party leader. But now we saw that we even have independent candidates challenging ODM in ODM stronghold. This is a statement that ODM is becoming weaker and weaker as we approach the 2027 general election. Now let us look at the united opposition. And guys, by the way, guys, at this juncture, I request you to like the video, comment, and those who have always liked our videos, who have always shared and said something, we are very, very grateful. In the united opposition, you know, I came to realize that the united opposition is very organized, and contrary to what many people are thinking, this is a team that knows where it is headed to. I'm looking at Rigathi Gachagua in Bere, and what we saw Rigathi Gachagua doing in Bere is likely to be repeated in other regions. Home to home campaign. Meet the people in their houses, sharing tea, sharing breakfast was a first one, if you ask me. And this one gave William Samoei Ruto and his team serious headache. And Kithure Kindiki had to do what Gachagua was doing. Gachagua came out as a ruthless politician, somebody who is a grassroots mobilizer, very tactical in approach, and a man who is loved by the people. A villager, actually, in him was so dear to him, and it's something that came out in handy to help the opposition. Again, when you look at what happened again to Natembeya, Natembeya seems to have taken over the kingship of the Mulebe nation. Natembeya came out very, very strongly. In fact, if you ask me, Natembeya outshadowed Eugene Wamalwa. Natembeya sent Mudavadi packing. Natembeya sent Wetangula packing. Everything in Mulebe nation is tawe. And that is why the government is very, very much worried by George Natembeya. Then came Matiang'i. Matiang'i tried a lot, by the way, and he came out shining. And one thing I realized about Matiang'i is that the Gen Z seems to prefer Matiang'i more than any other candidate. And anytime he was addressing the meeting, you see, the Gen Z would be very, very happy with him. You know, the videos were all over circulating, and some of them we shared here. There's no need of repeating them. And you could see Matiang'i actually dancing with the youth. You could see Matiang'i electrifying the crowd, electrifying the youth. And Matiang'i is somebody we are going to watch very, very keenly going forward. Then came Kalonzo. What shocked me about Kalonzo is a strategist. Kalonzo seems to have taken over the coast. That is the truth of the matter. I was looking at Kalonzo and I pitied William Samoei Ruto. Because you see, William Samoei Ruto have always been planning or thinking that the cost of people are going to support him. But they seem to be behind the opposition. They seem to throw their support behind Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. Something else is about the entry of Gachagua in Narok. Although the government tried every trick in the book to stop Rigathi Gachagua from going to Narok, alipitia njia za panya, and for sure he landed in Narok. He landed in Narok town to the chagrin of the government operatives. What does look at the government, and specifically William Samoei Ruto's side? What we saw in Bere shocked everyone. I think the government could have spent $1 billion there. $1 billion in a by-election, imagine. That is the truth of the matter. So it tells you that the 2027 general election, people should be prepared to spend money. It tells you that wananchi will expect nothing short of money. It will be politics and money. That is the truth of the matter. And Gachagua was telling us that about that 5 million was spent every day in Bere. And that is just a by-election in one constituency. What will happen in 2027? Money will be spent in billions. Now, the other thing is the way the government used violence and intimidation to stop the triumph entry of the opposition leaders in various parts. We saw what happened to Natembeya, ladies and gentlemen, in Western, when Gachagua, no, not Gachagua, when Papa Roma was just around. In fact, we saw Rigathi Gachagua criticizing this, and actually, Natembeya escaped death by a whisker. That is the truth of the matter. Guns were actually all over, gunshot everywhere. And this is something that the government is going to employ if what we saw is anything to go by. And it was repeated again yesterday when Rigathi Gachagua went to Narok. It was helter-skelter. Voters ran in all directions. They ran for their dear lives. It was shocking. This is what is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen, come to 2027. Because as I said, this by-election helped us to understand the various teams that will be at play. Then, the government is trying to use blackmail and emotional manipulation. The truth is, those who are supporting the opposition, they were told that unless they support the opposition, the development are going to stall. That unless you support our candidate, miradi yote itakwama. That is what we call manipulation, because it is voters' money. The money does not belong to the government. The money belongs to all Kenyans, and development should be taken to all parts of the country, irrespective of their party affiliation. Now, something else came out. This is about Sifuna. Sifuna was saying that wakati ukifika, yeye anaweza shika Ruto mguu, Kalonzo ule mguu mwingine, Gachagua mgogo, huyo mwingine kichwa. What does this tell you? It tells you that Sifuna is going to join or is going to support Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. In conclusion, Western is gone. Coast is gone. Mount Kenya is gone. Nairobi is gone. Eastern is gone. The Luo part of Kisii is completely gone. What does this tell you, ladies and gentlemen? Does this ring a bell about the outcome of 2027 general election? And where does this leave William Samoei Ruto? Is one term a reality, ladies and gentlemen? If elections were to be held today, general election, would William Samoei Ruto get half of the votes that he garnered in 2022? Ladies and gentlemen, this is Gashis Kaman. Please have a blessed day. Bye-bye.